here. And oh, what a privilege and honor to have a man who took advantage of COVID. You and 4 other people took advantage of the world dying better than anyone I've ever seen. Like, it's so funny. I have people who message me, go, have you ever seen this guy? And they send me videos of you. I'm like, yeah, I fucking know that guy. And like, how dare you tell me? And by the way, Rodney, for my birthday, you sent me a video of character you. I'm like, fuck you. I've known you 13 years. I don't need new character, Rodney, for my birthday. I want my friend to say happy birthday, not for you to be the thing that people know, the thing that Howie Mandel plays with. Fuck you. And thank you. And thank you, of course, Rodney, for being here.
Oh, and happy birthday.
Thanks. Thank you. I was like, come on, did he seriously send me? I'm like, I wonder if Larry the Cable Guy does that to his friends. He's like, get her done on your birthday. It's like, shut up, George, or whatever your real name is. I knew you in high school, God damn it. What are you doing? So, but how crazy is this that, like, you're playing around like you always played around, but I think because people had more time and you had more time to focus on it, you come up with something where everyone's just like, we're on board with this.
Oh, it's completely insane. Because like I said, as a character I've been working on for quite a while.
Right.
And, I've done videos with him before and, wouldn't get any views at all. And then just this one just caught fire and Pandora's box opened sorts. And now I got people going back looking at stuff from like 2012. And it's weird. It's fun, but it's weird. The attention is weird.
what I like about what I think, if I had to guess what had happened, was that you were doing it before, but it was like I got lost in the shuffle. But at a time where people started getting preachy at the beginning of COVID, like, you need to live your life like this. You need to do that. It was fun to see someone doing a fake philosopher who shouldn't philosophize. And I think it was at more time the satire hit at the right point where people like, oh, I can just laugh. We can still just be silly. Someone's not really telling, be happy or don't or whatever. It was like the simplest thing, but at a time where people needed to jump on it. There's like 4 people I've watched destroy during COVID. You, Ryan Long, Tim Dillon, and then Andrew Schultz. The 4 of you guys took advantage of this more than anybody. And it's just crazy to see that, to have like fun stuff just come up. Like Andrew and Tim were already at that level. They just needed more attention. You and then Ryan Long with his videos, it just took advantage of a situation when most comics are like, there's no stage time. How's anyone going to know about me? Yeah, create, you fucks. That's what you guys did.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the key to the whole thing, is just taking advantage of what's there, make fun of what's there, see what everybody else is doing, and do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else was doing the mad, pissed off, everything sucks. And I thought, I'm just going to flip it on its head and just be overly positive and just have some fun. And people appreciate it. It's like, everybody's so doom and gloom and pissed off. I'm like, we've been through worse than this. Calm down, people. It's not the end of the world. Lizard people aren't taking over. Calm down.
Yeah, they're not. They would have already. They're lizard people. Like, if they could have, why would they wait? They're lizard people. They're better than regular people. They could have done it at any time.
Absolutely. Why? It's the whole. Everybody just so wound up and these videos. The brilliance to it is how simple they are and how stupid they are, and people are just like, yes, life is stupid. We make everything so complicated, and it doesn't need to be.
Especially comedians. Like in the last couple of years, a lot of comedians felt like they had to have a message all the time. And they forget that, we're taking ourselves seriously, and that's nothing wrong with that. But you're forgetting that our audience isn't. Our serious time is during their silly, I don't want to be serious time. So like when they come out, they get away from their yelling kids, or they got away from their job, and they just want to, like, there's a reason why Jeff Dunham is rich. And I know comics get mad at it, but it's because it's silly. silly. It's just a guy holding a puppet saying dumb stuff, and you're like, oh, that's fun. That's just fun, and it's not anything bringing up my stresses in life. So when you're doing your thing, it's like, oh, it's just silly. It's just fun. I can laugh at it. I don't have to pick a side in life. I don't have to like have this, feeling of hatred towards something else to get it or not get it. If I laugh at Rodney's video, it doesn't make me love or hate Trump. It's just a thing, and I think we're missing that now.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything has become so polarized, I mean, even now, even though I tell people, look, I'm not being political. Just keep it somewhere else. Don't bother me with it. It accomplishes absolutely nothing. If you want to get into a long, heated debate about it, I'd be happy to do that. I will destroy you. Regardless, I can take either side and I'll destroy you. It has nothing to do. Being a good debater has nothing to do with whether or not you're right or wrong. It's just you know how to debate.
I've lived my life that way. I've argued and won with people, and I knew I was wrong, but I can argue with the best of them.
Yeah, if you're good at presenting an argument, you're going to destroy somebody regardless of what they think. And even though I tell people I'm not being political, people still want to make it political, and it's just, it's insane. I just delete their comments. I don't know if people knew that you could do that. You can just delete their comments.
Yeah.
Go on with your life and be happier for it.
I'm gonna do a name drop. I don't mean to, but it's because it was a conversation. I was speaking with Mark Norman the other day because he was performing at Comics when I was on the 10 o'clock show, and he was there for the weekend. And we were talking about because he's traveling around like crazy. He's been someone that's been very busy as well too. He's one of the few guys who hasn't stopped performing. And we were talking about, just being out there and dealing with all that stuff. And he's like, it's kind of crazy how, people are so into this politics thing where it's become like their personalities. And I said to him, I'm interested to see what happens in December of this year, because a lot of people who put all their eggs in one basket, their whole personality, everything they are is Trump or Biden. And once that's gone, even if your person wins, once the anger and fight for the change is gone, what are they going to be? Who are they going to turn into? What personality do they now have to make up because they're now no one? And that's going to be fun on social media to see.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I make fun of, actually, is just the fact that people, they've lost themselves because they've bought into this identity politics nonsense. And they've basically just turned their entire personality over into being, blue or red or whatever. And I think a lot of people are up for a rude awakening. Well, I think a lot of people are coming out of that, because it's become so polarized for so long. And then when we're all stuck at home, it became even worse because that's all anybody was talking about. A lot of people are just starting to just walk away from it. It's like the only thing I could do is vote once a year. So my entire civic involvement, my entire investment in this is just checking a box once. It's literally less than 5 minutes of my time, and that's it. And people wrap their entire life around it. It's like it's like. I don't know. It's like going down the store to pick up a gallon of milk is literally the kind of involvement we have in our civic responsibility as a voter, and people try to stretch it out into everything. It's like, calm down, go live your life, have some fun.
I've been alive for 46 years. In 46 years, there have been several different presidents. I've been the same sad thing for 46 years. It has not mattered who's been the president to my life at all. Yeah, there are some people that are very rich, so therefore it hurts their tax bracket or something. But for most of America, besides you pretending like you chose your winner, it doesn't involve us at all. So to make it your life is insane. Yes, people are going to say, well, Pat, what do you mean, like laws and choices? It's not the president. If you actually think the one guy's making choices, then you're so lost you shouldn't be yelling anyway. It's parties, it's groups, it's all that. But it's never affected me. Like, I don't sit there and going, God damn it, my years with Reagan as president really hurt my social growth. Like, no, nothing happened. Nothing changed with me. I don't even know. I used to not pay attention at all until a month or two before. I'm like, okay, who are the two people running? Okay, maybe I better figure out which side I like. But I didn't know the 18 people running for it, the 14 people that could be vice president, the 5th person in charge. I knew none of that. I didn't know anything. We didn't have to know. Now we have to know all the players like it's a cast on your favorite show. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's just, and it's in everything. That's the thing that pisses me off. Is it's like, what clothes you buy, what hairspray you use, what where you buy your gas. Everything is involved with whether or not it's left, and it is completely ridiculous and insane. Move on, people. It's so much more to life. So much more out there.
No, there's not, Rod. There's nothing. That's the thing. For some of these people, there's nothing more. It's the only thing they've had. It's the first time they've gotten attention, and it's not even their thoughts. They're regurgitating dumb shit. And it used to be, at least a long time ago, they regurgitated shit from a worthy source. They're like, now it's not even good source. They're regurgitating. Like, I had someone arguing with me about something when I went, wait a minute. When I heard what they said, I go, where did you read that? And they're like, it was an article on the internet. And then I listened to it. I said, that was the Onion. And they're like, what? I'm like, that's a joke article. That's a fake news. They're like, whatever. It's still a good point. I'm like, you just argued you just took on the Onion as your opinion. Which, by the way, they had a great one the other day. It said, in Georgia, man at voting booth convinces black man that all voting machines make that shredding noise.
Well, that's funny.
It's beautiful. But yeah, it's even the simple fact that that people cared about Bill Burr being on Saturday Night Live from a political stance. It's like,
oh yeah,
you're worried about Bill Burr for your vote. Something happened to you. Like,
yeah,
I think Bill Burr's brilliant, but I would never look to him for guidance for who should run our country.
Yeah. You want to figure out how to write a clever innuendo with a double entendre, then go to Bill Burr. But if you want to come up with a comprehensive foreign policy with Pakistan, I would look to other sources.
First of all, if you even need that, what job are you doing? You don't need it. Like, just read the paper. Listen, if anyone wants to, I've been told by a million people to vote. Okay, which, by the way, when I grew up, you didn't tell anyone to vote. You didn't talk to them about religion or politics. And believe me, do I like that people kind of care now more? Sure. But do I think that old school way should be the way because it's become arguing and rude? They were right in that sense. Don't talk about it because it becomes so sensitive that people fight and get stupid, and it can hurt friendships and ruin dinner. That's what it was about. Don't ruin fucking dinner with your religion and your politics. We're trying to have ham. Let us have ham. But now people want to argue. I'm not telling anyone to vote. What I'm saying is this: if you care at all, go do research, real research. Don't listen to one podcast. Learn from both sides what's going on. First of all, if you're saying you're Republican or Democrat, you're so lost you think those parties still exist. They're conservative and they're liberal. They're different worlds, and they're not even those things. They flip-flop what they are. Go read things, or go read a lot of things. Go listen to a lot of things. And then if you feel like that you need to help make one side happen against the other, then vote. But if you don't think that your vote matters, then don't vote. The biggest, loudest noise you can make to both these groups is if nobody showed up. If nobody showed up to the polls and nobody voted, they would both go, okay, we've lost America. Both sides are wrong. We need to step back. No, where's our money going to come from? No one cares. But that'll never happen because they've smartly enough made people treat Yankees and Red Sox style of politics. I'm on this team, and fuck you if you like this team, and let's fight. It's like, what? You're not on teams. Trump and Biden don't care about you.
Nope, they don't. Government's never cared about you. They're never going to care about you. And if you think that they will, you are sadly mistaken. And you are up for a rude, very, very rude awakening.
No, I think the Democrats fucked up for the simple fact that they chose a politician because we've proven that's not what's going. I'm going to say for the millionth time, Michelle Obama should have been the choice. Michelle Obama. No, I'm being dead serious because, like, if you're going to choose someone anyway to go against Trump, you pick someone who's popular, you pick someone who women like, that African Americans like, and that some people think has a penis. So therefore can go the whole trans thing. And then you can make that. And if your first ever first man is Barack Obama, who everybody loved anyway, and you, because even if you're a guy who can say, I don't really want a woman as president, you could go, well, Barack will be there and he's done it. So he'll tell her what to do. Like, you could have that dumb mentality. With her there, I think they would have had a shot at beating him. Not the middle, the middle of this country. Michelle, if Joe Biden's president but Kamala's vice president, people could say they want change, they want Biden, but there's too much racism to let a black woman just fall in when Biden dies. They won't let it happen. Like, nope, he's gonna die. We can't do it.
Well, the funny thing is she's not even black.
Yeah, she's like Tiger Woods black.
No, she's not. She's not black at all.
What is she? She's Jamaican. Isn't that black?
Well, her father, somewhat, but she's her mother's Thai.
Right, but then like the father, one of them's got
the father. Yeah,
I don't know what black is anymore. If you told me like somebody from Dominican Republic, and I see him, I go, oh, it's a black guy. They're like, no, he's Dominican. I'm like, I just meant skin. Black's not a country. Like, so, like you could be. I think we take black and we do too much of a circle of it. You're African American. You're right. So he's not African. She's not African American. She's Jamaican American. Is that a thing?
No, he's from India.
Oh, India. They're black sometimes.
Well, they have black skin, but they're not considered black. You know what I mean?
See that? What does that mean? I've never understood that. Like, they're black.
I don't know.
What's black?
The whole skin color thing. I thought we were. See, this is our generation. Gen X. We were taught to not really care about skin color at all. It didn't matter, and it didn't. It was the content of their character. It wasn't the color of their skin mattered, because there's a lot of people who have black skin who are, they're jerks.
Right.
There's also a lot of white people who are jerks.
Lots.
And and it has nothing to do with their skin color. They just happen to be a jerk.
See, but we were raised in the right way. I think they're still saying that, but we were raised nowadays it's like skin color shouldn't matter. Sexuality shouldn't. Every one of them needs to be respected. But we weren't taught that second part. We were taught skin color doesn't matter, sex doesn't matter. Stop fucking being nosy. It's none of your business. That's what we were taught. It wasn't about respecting it. It's just like, who cares who they fuck? Get out of there.
But it was like, okay, stop looking at color, and then all of a sudden it was like color became the most important thing ever. And it was like I thought we were beyond this. That's why I think our generation, we're just kind of looking at this thing going, what the hell?
Right.
We had this fixed. What is wrong with you people?
We weren't getting enough of, and then like people are like, well, we weren't getting these opportunities. Like, you're getting more opportunities now. First of all, you, the 22-year-old, you're getting the opportunity to even say you're not getting the opportunity, which is something no one ever had. The simple fact that you can yell and scream and point at people and say you should feel guilty because your ancestors were mean. My ancestors were Irish. We were the white slave. I don't even know what my ancestors did. I don't care. I'm not Irish. I was born in Connecticut. When people say that, I'm like, I don't claim where my grandparents fucked as what I am. Like, they just had sex somewhere.
Well, it's so funny to me that they want to come and they want to correct all these ills that happened in the past, and it's like, well, there's a lot of history that we need to go back and fix then. I mean, where do we stop?
Why do we fix any of it? Aren't we supposed to learn from our mistakes?
Know, that's the point. It's like, why are we picking and choosing what part of history we're going to fix? I mean, there's a lot of injustice that took place throughout history, and we're just how exactly? None of us were there, but how are we fixing what? It's like, well, if you have any kind of outcome because of that, then you have to be punished. And it's like.
It's like, we need to wipe out the whole thing about slavery. Okay, then how the fuck did you get here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? Yeah. You need that part to get to the new part, okay?
Well, it's...
Learn from it. We learn.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that it's like we're... The idea of looking at people with respect and learning somehow that makes you be a racist. That's how twisted they have become with this whole nonsense. It's like, I just treat people with kindness and respect. Oh, that's because of your white privilege. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Racist and homophobic are two terms that people lost what the meaning mean, and they've actually just now just become a blanket statement. Like, if someone says to me, hey, do you know Jim? And I'm like, no, I know a couple people in that Jim. I don't know which Jim you're talking about. No, and they said, gay Jim. I'd go, oh, yeah, I know gay Jim. Someone would go, that's homophobic. No, we didn't have fear. There's no fear of Jim. I like Jim. I just didn't know which Jim you meant, but I know that Jim is gay, and now I know who he is. White Pat, Black Steve, whatever it is. It's just way of talking. Calm down. Stop waiting for a fight. If you actually stop listening in for fights, you can actually hear message and content, and we could get along better.
All right. Well, I was managing the Wise Guys in Salt Lake. And, it's a restaurant, so we have a big restaurant crew. We had like 10 cooks and 15 wait staff, and one of the cooks named Jose, he was from Mexico. His mother was really sick, and so he asked to take some time off to go back to Mexico to visit her. So he was off the schedule for a week. We were like, sure, take as much time as you need to. And one of the wait staff came and said, hey, where's Jose? And I said, oh, our good Mexican friend had to go back to visit his mother because he's worried that she's going to die soon. And she goes, oh, you can't say that. And I'm like, excuse me? Wait, why are you calling him Mexican? And I said, because he's from Mexico. He's a Mexican citizen.
And you said good friend,
and she goes,
too.
Well, yeah. And she goes, well, that's offensive. That's racist. And I go, How is calling someone a Mexican racist? He's a Mexican. It means he's from Mexico. When did being from Mexico be? When is that insulting? How is that insulting?
I would have said, well, you know what? How about you looking for him? You were looking for Jose. You're racist. Why are you searching for the one Mexican who's not here? You're racist.
Yeah, it was like I couldn't believe it. She goes, well, you need to apologize. Apologize to who?
To who?
He calls himself a Mexican.
He's Mexican. He's in Mexico.
She literally wanted me to apologize to her for offending him, who was not even there, nor would he be offended, because I couldn't believe it. It was the dumbest thing ever. And I'm like, and she was like, like I was this old fart who didn't understand. I'm like, oh no, I understand perfectly what you're trying to accomplish. And what I'm trying to tell you is that it's stupid and you should stop it. Because it's nonsense.
It's insane. And the fact that your mind is wired that way is sad. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bill Burr, in his monologue, the reason why so many women got mad at the part about white women and stuff is because it's dead fucking on. Not all white women, but that's exactly it. That people are now trying to scold people for something that they're not involved in or they understand because they want to look like they're right. That girl did that because she wanted to be a champion. She wanted to say, I'm defending Mexican. Now I'll let Jose know that Rodney knows he's Mexican. And you know what Jose will say? Oh, you mean that wonderful American guy who let me take time off and see my mother while she was dying? Oh, yeah. And by the way, you didn't even know my mom was dying.
And gave him $200 to help him out with his travels.
Well, 200 pesos, of course.
That's how racist I am.
But that's the thing. Here's the other part. You said my good friend Jose from Mexico. She didn't know where he was. Look who's closer to him. You knew where he was, and you gave him money. She didn't even know his mom was dying, okay? So
and I'm the bad guy because I referred to him as being a Mexican.
Yes, you're El Diablo.
Yes.
And then he was you should have said amigo. That would have been better.
Amigo.
Mi amigo, Jose, from Mexico.
Mi amigo.
From Mexico.
Mexicano. Yeah. Mi amigo Mexicano, Jose.
It's insane. I run the one thing now though is that it has changed a little bit. I've noticed on stage now. I've been on purpose doing this 5-minute bit where I just bash Chinese people. It's probably the most racist, most stereotypical thing. And I do it saying that that's the one thing we're allowed to do now with COVID is that we've all come together to shit on the Chinese. To the point now where I've built it up where the last couple of shows, I've had people actually stand up and applaud because I'm bashing Chinese people. And it's just like, and they're not getting that they're making the joke, but like, they're like, you're right. I'm like, no, you're doing exactly what I want you to do. You're proving how crazy we're getting.
Well, it's like I people would go back. They referred to the 70s as being, the dark ages because we were so racist with our humor and everything. And they'll point out Don Rickles and the roasts and how, and I'm like, no, the problem is that you're too stupid to comprehend that what they're doing is mocking racism. They're taking the power away from racism. They're destroying racism by making all of those jokes because people know that it's a joke. When you go watch Don Rickles, people get the joke. They know that this man loves everybody, that he cared more about every single human being, regardless of who they were.
No one ever flipped the channel and said, oh, wait, is this a Hitler Youth rally? Like, no. Yeah. They knew that he said hockey puck. It was jokes.
He was mocking racism. He was mocking the idea that one group would think that they're better than the other. He was showing that everybody was idiots.
Yeah. And also just literally pointing out everything that's in most of our mind. This is the part I get in the arguments with people. When someone does the thing like you did, where they're saying that girl said Mexican, and I go, here's the funny thing. You're thinking about it. What's more racist? Me just saying something or you thinking about it so much that you're pointing it out? The only way you're noticing it is that you're constantly thinking about it, which is not open-minded. It's beyond closed-minded. Your mind is so closed that you can only see problems.
They want to be the valiant defenders of all that is true and right. And so they have to basically make up monsters to go kill. And they're literally a bunch of Don Quixotes. They're out there chasing, giants that they're making up in their own mind. Yeah. And they don't see it. That's the thing, is they think that they're somehow morally superior to everybody else because they know more, and they're helping these poor people. They don't even know they're being insulted. So I have to be insulted for them because they're not smart enough to understand it because I'm smarter than everybody else. They don't comprehend that what they're doing isn't helping. What they're doing is being enormously self-righteous and arrogant and insulting, because it's enormously insulting to say, hey, you're too stupid and, unprivileged to understand how unprivileged you are, so I'm here to help you.
Yeah, and you won't be able to argue your point because you don't speak well, and that's because you weren't educated by white people enough. But don't worry, this white person will teach you how to speak. Is it Deontay? Is it? I'll say it right. Is there a there? I'll do it good because I'm a good white woman. Shut up. They can do everything they're fine. They can do anything. They don't need you to do. Get your own personality. Stop trying to be the speaker for others. And what happens, what they're not realizing is that we're starting to see it. When you start the old saying, you throw stones in a glass house, you start making noise about pointing out everyone else's problems. The internet's very easy to find your problems. And then no one knows who you are. Whatever, Karen or whatever we're calling white women now. But if some woman starts yelling out about this person, I'm watching comics do it right now on Twitter. They're calling out celebrities and saying, look at this person. When Chrissy Teigen was going crazy and stuff. And I get it. She was yelling all that craziness, but a lot of comedians were jumping on that and saying, look at this, look at this, look at this. Hey, you're a comedian. You're known as a personality. All they have to do is turn around and now find shit on you. Karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
Slow down. You're not looking at your problem here. You keep pointing it out all the time. You keep pointing the finger. They're going to turn and point fingers back at you. I
Yeah.
put everything in my life out here on every podcast and everything I do. If somebody tried, the funny thing is, I was joking with someone saying, I wish I was famous enough to be canceled. That'd be a great thing to just get enough fame to get canceled someday. And someone's like, how could they cancel you? You've owned everything there's nothing hidden. You've yelled out everything.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. It's like, I would never tell anyone how to think. Now, am I a fan of someone saying the N-word? No, I don't say it myself personally.
Right.
But I know people that do, and I might go, whoa, because it just throws me off. The same way if someone says, I've done crack, and I go, whoa, you've done crack? That's crazy. But some people go, that's not crazy. That's just a thing you do. I'm like, okay, that's your life, whatever. I don't care. It's not affecting me. But I will never tell anyone to apologize for things or not be some. Just do you. You're going to be dead soon. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and this whole idea of stopping people from saying the wrong thing, it's like, why do you want to take away that privilege that you have to let people tell you who they are, and then you can know if you want to avoid them or not. But if you make it so nobody can say anything, then you have a lot of people that you're probably hanging out with that are holding on to a lot of ideas that are really scary.
Right. And all the same. They're all getting together like the Klan. It really is this thing where it's like, oh, look, we all have similar thoughts and we all want to be friends. Like, how did you get that thought in the first place? Young girl who thinks all about Trump all the time, but you're 22 and I don't know where you get these thoughts. At one point, someone introduced you to these thoughts. You were interested in these new thoughts. You learned about it and you learned a whole rhetoric and a whole spiel and everything. Imagine if you listened to people now. You might get more knowledge. But no, you for some reason took the one knowledge you had and said, I only know this and I can only like people who like this, which is an insane way to live life. The only way we learn more is by meeting people that aren't us. My friends I have in life aren't like me. The people I date aren't like me because I want to learn from other people. I don't want the same opinions. I got mine already.
Yeah. You should be excited to meet somebody who has a different religion, who has a different philosophy, who has a different political persuasion, who comes from a different background, because you get to learn, you get to know different things. You might be exposed to something you never thought you would be exposed to, and vice versa. They're going to learn something from you, and if you close yourself off to everybody unless they think like you, you're never going to grow because your ideas are never challenged. You're never challenged. And then when you get into a situation that you are challenged, you fall apart because you don't know how to deal with it. You become an idiot.
Right.
Well, you were an idiot to begin with, but now, I mean, as I've always said, people who are mentally challenged are that way because they have a genetic deficiency.
Right.
Stupid people choose to be stupid.
Yes.
I mean, you really have to choose to be an ignorant moron these days because so much information is available to you. But if you choose to ignore all of it and only focus on exactly what you are supposed to, because that's what your ideology is, you're stupid. You are a stupid person.
Right, but there's two kinds of stupid people, too. There are stupid people that know they're stupid but stay in the back and don't argue. And they listen, and they go, okay,
yes.
If I listen to this, I might still be stupid, but I'll have this thing to say. And then there's stupid people who get out loud and just yell out stupid. Like,
yes.
It's like if you're in a choir, and it's a school, and they're like, everyone's going to sing. And you know you can't sing. So you're like, I'll stand as far back as possible and kind of lip the words because I don't want anyone to hear how terrible I am. But then this other idiot who sings worse than you is like, I want a solo. It's like, but you can't sing and you don't even know the words. But yeah, but I want attention, so I'm up front. And they're just yelling out of key, and then everyone goes, look how terrible you are. And then they're like, well, I'm just as terrible as the guy in the back. Well, the guy in the back, no one's noticed him because he's hiding there being quietly stupid. People should just be quietly stupid and not loud stupid.
Perfect analogy, my friend. Perfect analogy.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
You watch it all the time. It's just like comedy. We see it all the time. There's young comics who don't know what they're doing yet, but they sit in the back of the open mic. They watch other. When I first started, you grabbed me and said, "Hey, this and that, whatever." I listened to you and I went, "Oh, that makes sense." I was quiet, not on stage quiet. I've never been that, but in the background quiet. And then went on stage and learned from watching other people and sat there and watched every kind of comic. But then I'd watch other young guys not pay attention to what's going on, be on their phones, be outside, talking, drinking, hitting on people, going on stage, making the same mistake over and over, not learning, not being funny, and then finally quitting because like they became annoying or they got annoyed with it. You can both be ignorant, but either learn from your ignorance and sit there and go, I might not be this or that, whatever, but I can learn how to do those things, or just be loud and stupid, get the wrong attention, and then be thrown out.
Yeah. True stupidity is that willful ignorance. It's like they are ignorant and they're happy about it. It's like they wear it with a badge of honor, or to some degree that they think that they're so smart that they know things that nobody else could possibly know, regardless of how long they've been doing it. So therefore, and that's one thing I see more and more with younger people is I think that they've been educated to think of us older people as misinformed and misguided. So therefore they can basically just dismiss whatever we have to say because they're already smarter than we are because they're the younger generation and, they grew up with iPhones.
Well, see, some of that's our fault. Because I've fallen into that joke where what do? We say to the younger generation, oh, you with your technology, I could never understand. And we do understand it. You and I are using it right now to communicate. We understand.
Our generation made this stuff.
Right. But what do we say? Oh, I couldn't set up this TV now the way they are. I couldn't do this thing now. I can't understand this, you young people. So all we've done is told them we're dumb and don't understand. So they grow up hearing that and go, you're dumb and you don't understand. And then we go, wait a minute. No, we actually know everything. Like, what? Did you just lied the whole time? It's like, well, we were just being funny.
We just wanted you to fix it because we didn't want to do it.
But that's kind of what we've done. We kind of did sit back and say this and that. We get mad at them for things.
I agree, yeah.
We get mad at the younger generations for doing things that we've told them to do. Like, we told them to figure out technology, and now that they've done it so much, we're like, why aren't you outside? We didn't tell you to go. We didn't make them go outside. And they've learned a way to communicate better. They've learned a way to do life different. The same way we did things that our parents were like, what are you doing? That's not how we did it. I'm happy there's new things. I sit with my kids every weekend and watch YouTube comedians. I watch TikTok comedians. I watch different forms of comedy. And I know comics who get mad at that and say, that's not comedy. Well, what I do to somebody from the 50s and 60s isn't comedy. We always change. We always evolve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like watching how they're doing it now and doing that. Learn from it. But also, when I'm watching it with them, I talk to them about what I do. So we learn from each other. Hey, Dad, this is someone that's funny, but this is why it could be funnier, or this is where I can learn this from them. Always adapt and learn instead of just going, no, this is wrong. That politics, ignorant, all that shit. Stop saying things are wrong. Nobody has an answer. There's no right way of living life except for pedophile. Don't touch kids. Besides that, well, that one, the secret to life is not inside a child. It might be their brain, but it's not what you're going to find diddling. So don't touch kids. If we can take away one thing from every podcast I do, don't touch children.
Don't touch. Please.
But I heard someone argue that. They even argued that. It's not their fault. It's a sickness. Okay, but I'm not going to give them a hug and a job. Still get them away from me.
Yeah. No, we do need. This is one thing with the whole COVID thing is that with comedy, stand-up was gone.
Right. And
so you really had to find a new way to get to an audience. And it's through social media. And if you close yourself off and you're as a comic, you're just sitting there waiting for stand-up to come back. Well, guess what? It's not going to come back up the way it used to be. It's changed. Audiences have changed. The way business is conducted has changed. What jokes people like have changed. I mean, you can't really do the same material you did before because everybody has a different mindset now. We're in a whole different way of thinking. And if you aren't evolving your act to that, you're going to get left behind. And embracing the social media really helps you get to know, one, kind of the zeitgeist or the spirit of what's going on in society, but also understanding how to make younger people laugh. Right. Because they do. They have a different sense of humor. They have a different idea of what's funny. And in a way, you can embrace that and then still couple that with old school comedy, and and when you figure out how to do that, you're gonna be a much happier person. But if you're just always trying to do it the same way you've been doing it, you're gonna fall backwards, and you're gonna fail immensely. And it's like that for everything that you do. If you're always stuck in the past, either politically, socially, mentally, spiritually, if you're always just keep doing what you've done, you're never going to progress. You're never going to be happy. And trying to explain this to people is just I've stopped explaining it. Now I just demonstrate it. And if you figure it out, awesome. If not, move on. I don't care.
Well, you find out that some people
leave your nasty little comment and move on.
Right. I've joked about, me being upset all the time, but you know me, I'm a happy guy, whatever. It's kind of like the brand I chose to do. But I really have noticed that there are some people that the second you tell them kind of like a life hack, if you will, like, hey, think about this, don't think about that, you realize, without being upset or mad at everyone, they have no personality either. So they don't want to hear it because you're going to take away their one thing they've got, being that angry, sassy, whatever it is thing. But back to the comedy part, before COVID, most people that asked for my help in comedy were younger comics. During COVID, the people that have asked me for help now are older comics. And it was funny to watch that switch because the main thing was, and I helped out a bunch of people with this, what you were saying, can you do the same jokes? Well, there's a lot of comics who have been doing the same jokes for 20 years. And now they were asked to do Zoom stuff, and they were getting lost in it right away. And they're like, what do I do? I'm not going to write new. I haven't written new in so long. So I was like, it's very easy. You just have to change the structure and the framework. Like, if you have a joke about going apple picking with a girl, and you're like, well, I can't do that now. No one's leaving the house, like when it first started. I go, well, what you say is, oh, my God, the quarantine's so bad. You start missing things that you never thought you'd miss. Like, I was actually sitting at home thinking about how I can't wait to go apple picking again, which is ridiculous because remember this one time, boom, and now you're in your joke. It's that simple. You just change the – they don't see that. It's like, pay attention. And the other thing is young and old comics are like, do I talk about COVID? And I'm like, I don't know how you don't. But what you don't do is you don't do the hacky shit. You make it about you, your experiences with it, your perspective on life and how it's changed and all that. But as comics, what do we always want? We want that thing that everyone can relate to. We want to, like you said, you want to make young laugh, old laugh, this, that. You want something universally funny, universally relatable. And this is something that the world gets. You don't have to go, I don't know if you guys have heard about this COVID. Like, you don't have to say anything. You can literally say, I'm not allowed to stand 6 feet from you, and everyone knows why. Like, you literally can do a wash your hands thing. It's like when somebody talks about, hey, Kobe Bryant died. Don't make a joke. It's too soon. But the reason why comics do it is because at that one moment, there is a topic that everyone knows about. It's a polarizing thing that you can try to jump in. I get why they do it. It's not something that I do, but I wait later to right to the point where you've just healed and you think you feel better. And then I tell the joke about how Kobe Bryant, if there was COVID 6 weeks earlier, would still be alive. But if COVID happened 20 years ago, one girl still wouldn't be raped. Like, there's a lot of things there, but still to this day, not the best joke, but anyway, I still try it all the way. But yeah, that's the thing. If you can talk about it now, might as well. Now I'm talking about it because I had to take a real job. And now I'm working at a retail store because of COVID. So how do I not talk about how someone who didn't have a boss for 8 years is now trying to work in retail and what the dumb things I'm saying? And it's work. I have 25 new minutes just on being at work. And I told someone, you don't have to write all new things, but realize that if you don't talk about it, it's weirder than if you do.
Yeah. Because you have to be coming from a position that's understandable, believable. And if all you're talking about is stuff that happened to you 15 years ago, well, none of that relates to the current mindset. And I mean, it just is. It's just the way it is.
If you come out and go, I was at the bar the other day, people's like, shut the fuck up. No, you weren't. No one's been at the bar. You can't be at the bar. Like, you weren't allowed to be in the bar for 2 months. No, you've got to kind of evolve and change. And you've got to realize that, yes, you're still the silly distraction, but you're also now in charge of what could be some people's first night out. in months.
Yes.
They're nervous.
Yes.
There's a lot of thoughts in their heads. If you don't address it, like I'm looking on stage, I'm lucky enough. I've done more inside shows than outside shows. A lot of people have been doing outside ones. But when I'm inside, half the crowd's got a mask on, half doesn't. So when I see a couple really close, like touching each other, but wearing masks, what I've been doing, the first thing I say is, I go, sir, do you use a condom? And he goes, excuse me? I go, do you use a condom? And usually it's like, nope. I'm like, but you wear a mask. It's a weird choice what you think is what's good and what's bad, because like COVID might not be real, but her herpes are, you know. It's like there is something real and different. So I kind of like, then I also make a joke right away about not wearing the mask, and I let them know I don't care about either one, but I'm addressing the elephant in the room. How do I not do that? We're wearing it's a different world. We used to make fun of Chinese people wearing masks. Now we're all fake doctors now.
Yeah. Very true.
It's very strange. So how do you not talk about it? You have to in everything. And once again, that's why I like what you've been doing, because it's not like you're talking about, not talking about, but you're just talking about simple thoughts. And people are like, oh, that's nice. It's just refreshing. It's funny. Why? You don't have to go, why is it funny? It's just funny. Like, you don't have to overthink what you're doing. And we need that, because everyone's overthinking the fuck out of everything now.
Oh yeah. That really is the key, is just simple and be silly. I mean, the best videos I come up with are literally, I just turn on the camera and start talking, and nonsense comes out. And half the time I'm sitting there going, I don't think I'm going to share this. This is too stupid. And as soon as I have the thought, this is too stupid, I shouldn't share it, I know I have something good.
Yeah. But you have to trust that thought. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny, because it's like people just want to just have fun. They don't need your political commentary. They don't. And that one thing I drives me nuts about comics is everybody wants to be thought of as a genius, and he's got such a it's a paradigm shift of a joke, and he's changing society. And it's like, nobody comes to a comedian to change their life. They don't come to a comic, to expand their right. They just want to laugh and have fun. And if you make a clever point while you're doing it, awesome. But just get up there and be silly and fun, and just let people stop thinking about other things for a while. That's your goal, is to give them something else to think about.
Yeah, a lot of comedians are like Alyssa Milano, where like she was known for being pretty. I mean, I'm sorry, she wasn't a good actress. She was attractive, and that's what she was. Just like, and some comedians are known for being funny. But at some point, Alyssa Milano was like, I need to share my opinions. I'm smarter than everyone, and everyone needs to know about my political views and about my views on everything in the world. And people are like, shut up. Just be pretty. That's your thing. You're allowed to have an opinion, but you don't become like, now all of a sudden, because people thought you were hot, you now are an authority on all these things. You can have an opinion, but when you're talking to me like you're from a pulpit, like a comic who's like, well, I have a stage and there's a people there, so I need to teach them. No, they're not here for class, asshole. They're here to laugh. They're not here for you to all of a sudden become professor. You're the class clown. You're a professional class clown. Make them laugh. Even when I'm on stage and I make a point, I make fun of myself for making the point, and I look at people and go, please don't believe what I'm saying. That's insane.
Don't think of me. Don't quote me as an authority. I'm just a knucklehead telling jokes.
Yeah, it's like, I go, anything I'm saying is that true? Probably not. No, I'm up here making things up. If I'd be in jail if I said half the things I said were true. Like, there's a lot of shit out there. Like, we're just having fun. Like, oh, do you really, like, I told a story, like, the other day, I was waiting for the bus, and this family was at the crosswalk, and and I said it on stage, and it was funny how you said the Mexican part. I knew that people were going to get mad at me describing them, so I corrected myself while describing it and watched all people get happy. I go, they were a Spanish family. I go, well, not Spanish. They weren't from Spain. I've never met anyone from Spain. They weren't conquistadors. They just Spanish spoke. They were probably Puerto Rican. I go, there was a father and a mother, which I know is weird. They shouldn't know each other, but they did. And it was them. And so you can watch everyone kind of laughing, whatever. And I was like, it was them. It was a daughter and then a very, very fat boy. Like a boy that was so fat. I don't know if he was 9 or 37. Like he was just very fat. And they were crossing the street. And they hit the crosswalk button, and you get, 20 seconds. The father and mother and daughter are walking, and they're getting across quickly. But the fat boy is really taking his time. And he's going so slow that the father has to actually walk back into traffic because it's about to count down to 20, and the kid's only halfway there. The father literally stops, puts his hand up, looks at the car, and I'm not shitting you, with not being sarcastic, no anger in his voice, all sincerity, holds his hand up and says, "Please slow down. My son is fat." And then the boy kept waddling, and I heard a woman with her window down go, "Aw," like he had cancer. But he was just a fat boy. And then they walk him across the street, and the father takes his fat hand, and they walk away. I told that on stage, and one person did say afterwards, "You didn't have to say they were Spanish." I'm like, that's not the problem here. That's not the problem. The problem is we're pretending like this kid has a crippling disease and he's just fat. And I said, if that was me and my father 20 years ago, like 40 years ago, whatever, it could have been done the same way, but with sarcasm and anger. "Hey, everybody, slow down. My fat son can't cross the goddamn street. Maybe if you were an ice cream truck, he'd run fast." Like, that's what it would have been. But now it's like, "Oh, the poor fat boy. He can't." And the father said it with pride and held his dumb fat hand and walked with him. It's like, "Oh, my poor son. He's so fat." It was amazing.
Yeah, no. If that happened to me when I was a kid, people would be screaming things like, "Hey, if you had to haul ass, you have to make 2 trips."
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Or don't hit him with your car. It'll do damage to the fender. It's like,
So what are you worried about?
yeah, where's your neck? like that's the things you yell. Like, crossing the street, you are the street. Just lay down. Let them drive over you. Yeah, it was weird. And then afterward, literally, and they're not even allowed. That's the one thing I like about COVID, though. They're not allowed to really come up to you. Like, yes, I was talking to Mark Norman about that too. I was like, "Don't you like it when they come up to you and say, like, good job?" He's like, "No, I did, but like, I know I did good, and I don't really need them to tell me what I did wrong." So this part's nice because they can't gather around you anymore. They have to just leave. They're not allowed to stand around afterwards. So,
or if they do have something to say, it's usually something other than that. They have something new or interesting to say,
right,
and they really feel like they need to say it. So they're not going to waste their time with, "Oh, you're the greatest comedian. I really love it. You're very funny." They actually come up and say something constructive.
right.
Yeah.
Or what I did notice, a lot of it is like, "This was our first time out. Thank you." And I'm like, "Oh, there you go." And then later they'll go to Twitter and go, "But you suck and you said chink and you shouldn't say chink." I'm like, "Okay, that's okay." But I also said chink ironically because I said, being racist, there's a chink in my armor, and some get it. That's how they do. I did that, and then I said it's a slippery slope, and then pointed to my head like I was skiing, and no one really got that one like they got chink. So when I walked in the back, I said, Mark Norman goes, "I've been around this country. They don't know slope." He laughed so hard. He's like, "Chink, they know. They don't know slope."
Oh, that's funny.
We were in the back green room, and I don't know if you know Jesse Green. He's a comic out of the Fairfield County area. He's also a very good photographer and videographer. He does that for a living too, and he'll show up at Stress Factory and take videos and pictures, and he was there helping Mark do video and things like that too. So we were hanging out in the back, and we were talking about that. And, of course, I brought up to Mark, I'm like, "Well, do you know where the word goop comes from?" And for some reason, I like to share that with everyone because it's a knowledge thing I have. So I shared that with him. And so then Jesse goes, "Well, do you guys know where the N-word comes from?" And I'm like, that's usually when everyone else leaves the room. When one guy goes, "I know where this comes from," it's like –
that's when everything gets quiet and uncomfortable.
Right. And it's like, and then he goes, "It comes from the Greek." I'm like, "I don't know if it comes from the Greek. It might, but I think it just came from some guy going, 'Look at that N-word.'" And I guess that was a thing. And Mark said it. That's something that Louis and Patrice were on Opie and Anthony one time. And Patrice is like, "The N-word came from here and there." And Louis just goes, "I think it just came from some guy going, 'Look at that N-word.'" That's where it started. And that could never happen again. The silliness of that. Somebody would still get mad, even though Patrice was on board with it and fine. But like, "You can't say that to him." It's like,
yeah. Well, it's like I said, they've criminalized words, which is amazing.
yeah. And then not other stuff. Like, you can knock down a statue and you can punch Rick Moranis, but that's okay. But if you called somebody gay sometimes, they get mad. But you're gay sometimes. Bi is not a thing. You're gay sometimes. Sometimes gay. That's what they should call it, not bi.
There's have you heard about the gay spectrum? There's this some doctor had come up with this spectrum that at some point in time you're always gay to some degree. And there's
the degree of bent over, I guess.
Yeah, there's this the sliding scale of gayness that everybody's in at some point in time. That was funny.
The only way you're gay is if you're in, I guess, in them. I tried a bit, and it didn't ever work. I tried to give it to Pete because Pete's gay sometimes, and I was like, "Here, Pete, have this gay joke," and but he didn't want this one. But I was like, it's like if you're bisexual, you're not always bisexual because you are what you're in. Like if there's a guy bent over and a woman bent over, if you're in the guy, you're gay. If you're pulled out, you're bi. You go in the woman, you're straight. So I was doing a whole like gay, bi, straight, like dancing back and forth on stage, moving around like I was fucking the air. And I said, Pete, why don't you take this since I can't do it? Pete goes, I'm not really good at movement. I'm like, it's not about the movements. Like you can tell the joke without the physicality part.
You didn't want to do the joke because of the act out?
Right, yes, and the act out. But the act out did sell the joke. It was pretty good.
That's funny.
Like I'm on stage now talking the same thing. I mean, I'm talking about words now because I'm gonna bring it up. I'm like, you said I can't say this. I'm saying that. You said I can't. But why? Why can't I say that? But I make it clear. I'm not making a point or teaching a lesson. I'm just letting them know the comic you are watching for the next 45 minutes does talk like this. Here's why, and here's where it comes from, and you're gonna be okay. No matter what, at the end, nothing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, it was funny. I used to work at a comedy club in Utah. It was called Johnny B's. And before you went on stage, they would give you a list of things not to talk about. And I always thought it was funny because I saw it one time, and then it was gone. And I was like, well, hey, what happened to the list? And the manager very wisely said, we realized that we weren't really dissuading people from talking about it. In fact, we were just giving them a set list.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. You tell a comic not to say something, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. So they said the wise thing was, hey, if you start walking people, you don't get paid. And that solved the problem.
Yeah, but see, I was told that too early. I'm like, I'm not really getting paid.
There's that.
Yeah, that was the part. Like, they're like, you get $25, and I'm like, that's worth walking. Like, so I'm like, I'll take that chance and go for it and just say whatever I can. Like when I first saw you saw me, I mean, Dave Sheehan in a roast described me best when I started. He said, Pat Oates has the uncanny ability to tell a Puerto Rican they're Puerto Rican. I'll always remember that. That's exactly what I was back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I learned, you could write jokes too, and it was fine. But
yeah, you were trying to combine observational humor and crowd work.
Right, all in one shot. And that's when it's funny now because when comics ask me about crowd work, you do so much. I go, I really don't do as much anymore because I learned that less is more with that. And if I use it as like my superpower or like my icing on the cake instead of making the whole cake out of it, it becomes a better thing. Like, yeah, I'm doing my act, and it's funny enough, but if I can quickly shoot out something and everyone's like, oh my God, where'd that come from? And then keep going, it enhances what I do. Yeah. But when I try to do it the whole time, it gets boring.
Yeah, crowd work should be a spice to your act, not the main course.
Right. And
it should add to what you're doing and help build things up. Shows the spontaneity, it shows the play. But if it's all about crowd work, you're When
I watch a young comic do it, I always go, okay, if you're gonna do it observational, not conversational, because like. Yeah, you can point out something quick, but if you allow them to think they can talk back, you're done.
Yeah,
like
if you're looking for the audience to give you something to play off of, it's always going to be miserable.
Yeah, and because two things. One, they're not going to do what you want. You can't control what the answer is going to be if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you can control what they're going to say. You understand how you can make them say a certain thing. But if you don't, they might say something that throws you off. But more importantly, they're drunk. and you're new, they're probably funnier than you at this moment. So they're going to say something that you can't follow. And then you're going to come back with like an insult. And then the crowd who doesn't really know you or like you yet, you have enough time to build a character, is going to take their side. For you to take that chance, they need to like you enough first so they get your back when that person yells at you or says something. They're like, shh, be quiet. Because if not, they're like, yeah, get off stage. That guy's right. So, like, you can just drown yourself in it. I tell young comics, don't even do it and don't practice it. Trust your gut. If you're on stage and all of a sudden you get this thought that comes right away, let it go. Say it, but then continue your act. Have the ability to come back in and out. Like, I write all my jokes open-ended so I can go in and out so the joke still makes sense. You still have to remember where you left off. And so I watch some comics struggle with that. But choose when you do it. Don't derail the joke. Because your crowd work thing might be funny, but if your act can't follow what you did either, then you've destroyed the rest of your act.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that happen more times than not, where you go into the crowd and then something will either it lands so flat that it just takes the air out of the room, or it hits so hard that there's no way you can come back from it. There's no way you can top what happened. So,
like, do you remember Ashley Strand?
Oh yes,
I love that. Like, when I first started, I'd see you and Ashley if he did an hour, he told 4 jokes, because each joke was like 20 minutes long, and they were crazily detailed. They were insane. So it was brilliant if you were someone that had a good attention span and didn't mind listening. But if you were somebody who just wanted to laugh and have jokes, you would tune out. And if you were on board with the material, like, he had one about women squirting that went on for 20 minutes. But if you heard the beginning part and you're like, I don't want to hear about women squirting, you were now stuck for 20 goddamn minutes. Like, I don't want to hear this at all. And he'd do his thing about this spackle and shellac, and it was all gross. And he would do all that.
Yeah, it was like when you miss your exit and you're like, ah, crap. I got 15 miles to go to turn around.
Or you can try to go find a quick U-turn, which he would do something, because he would start his set with 3 minutes of the most incredible observational crowd where he would walk. He would see, like, he would go into, remember that what was that awful bar, the Tobacco Shed, where we would do it. It was in Windsor, and they had like a it was like a rapey looking bar, but it also had like a Statue of Liberty in it, and it also had like the Eiffel Tower. It had weird like giant things for no reason. We all seen that. We'd all make fun of those things. He would walk in, look around, and see 4 things none of us ever saw in the 20 times we were there, pointed out the whole bar. Even the owner would laugh, not realizing that was the problem in the bathroom or that was the thing on the ceiling. He was amazing at that. The crowd would burst, and then he'd go into a 20-minute story about shoes. And you're like, dude, you can't do that. You can't, he couldn't follow what he did. I'm like, and we talked about it one time, and I'm like, either go all story or pick and choose. Don't lead with something that's so good you can't follow it.
Yeah.
It's just like, don't put on a dating profile the one good picture of you ever. Because like, in the greatest lighting, the greatest time of your life, you might have gained 10 pounds. Maybe you're like not looking as good. Maybe something happened. If you believe in that one picture, you'll never be able to follow that. Put an okay picture up. Just not the worst, but okay. And that way, when they see you better, like, oh, wow, better. Like, you know what I mean? Don't lead with your best. Just lead with something that entices.
Yeah, it never ends well when your headshot is from 40 years ago.
So I remember getting those when I was running Jokers. People would send me things black. It was the bet. Who was it? J.J. Ramirez. His picture must have been from like 1978, and he was 78 at that time. And it was like it was like crazy. Like, people would see the picture in the window, and then they'd go in and go, "Oh, is that guy's father on stage?" Like, no, that's him now. Just for some reason, like, why are you sending me this? I know you think you look good in it, but it's not going to be you. Like,
yeah.
I do miss the days of a headshot, though. Like, now it's just, here's your profile pic. But I liked it when there was like the pose and the look, or like they were sitting on a can, or they're somehow stood in a street in New York just enough time to not get hit by a car, because there's always those lights in the back. Like, how are you in the street in New York? They're always busy. But they were there. I was like, I missed that. That was their name on it. You have to mail. I had to mail a couple out when I first started. And you can't book you till you mail these out.
I remember sending out videotapes.
Yeah, I never had to
do that. I mean, it was only a 5-minute thing, but you could get videotapes of your act that were just the 5 minutes, but it was a videotape, and you'd have to send those out. That's what we did for the first 5 years that I was in comedy until YouTube showed up. But even then, it took a while for people to understand when you'd send them a link. They're like, "What is this? Can you just send me a tape?" It's like,
well, then some people still didn't know how to record either. So that was the thing. Like
yeah,
the Comedy Studio was always great for that in Boston, where if you went, no matter what, you did a set, they would record it and then send it to you, and you had a legit 5-minute set at the
yeah,
Comedy Studio to send us. So that they were very helpful in that way. Even if you were a
yeah.
new person that was never going to be there again on amateur night, you still had a clip to get work.
Rick does a masterful job with that studio.
He's awesome.
He's helped so many comedians. It's unreal.
He wrote the forward for my book. I mean, like he was
awesome.
incredible. He was somebody that always supported comedy no matter what. Him and I talked. My style isn't Rick's style in any way, but he didn't care about what your style was. If you had a passion for it and had any drive or want, he would give you that opportunity to make it work.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he's still wearing Johnny Carson suits.
Yes, he is.
I
think he has Johnny Carson pajamas.
He's Johnny Carson everything.
Yeah. I think he bought everything that Johnny Carson ever produced.
Yeah, except Ed McMahon. He did not buy the remains of Ed McMahon. That's the one thing. So, Rodney, where can people see the wonderful character, everything you're doing, all that stuff? Where can they follow you?
Oh, I'm masterfully taking over the entire social media world. Now I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm on all.
Is it all under Rodney Norman, or is it?
You just look up Rodney Norman comedian, and it's all right there. You can find me. And
I guess last thing is, have you met Howie Mandel before? Because you've met some people. Okay, so did that just throw you off? Like that was pretty cool to me.
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind a little. It was pretty cool.
And people that don't know, like you took the TikTok does a thing called like a duet, whatever. You can like choose someone's video and then you kind of like react to it. Like if you were doing a video right now and I was a split screen, I could like talk to what you're doing, right? But we're not really interacting. You're playing off it. And the video he chose of you was fantastic because there were so many pauses. He didn't really speak for a while. He just let you kind of speak, and that was even cooler because a lot of those guys make it about them. He just reacted to things, and I'm sure it opened up a way different audience for you. That people that saw that were like, "Oh, I know Howie, and look at this guy. Like this guy must be good." It's like,
well, I mean, that's the thing in comedy. Once you kind of get the nod that, oh yeah, this guy's funny, then everybody goes, oh yeah, this guy's funny. Because most people see me, my videos pop up on, especially TikTok. They just look at, who's this old fart? What could he possibly have to do that's funny? But when they actually sit and watch it, they're stuck. They're into it.
Are you worried though that you're going to get booked by clubs now that want the character?
I don't care. I can do the character.
Yeah, but do you want to?
I'll do whatever. At this point, I'll stop. I just want the cash.
Nice.
No, I'm having fun with it. I enjoy. I mean, like I said, it's a character I've done on stage.
Right, but I mean, people are like, it's like if, once again, like Larry the Cable Guy, if like at the beginning when he did the character and he was still doing himself as well, and then people are like, no, we just want to be the character, and he had to make that choice. But I think some people know, like Gaffigan, people love the voice. He was like, whatever. But he doesn't just do that. He's himself and then uses it as a comment thing. You can tie them both in a way when you do it. But I think that some clubs might be like, I think it's great that you use the thing that people can go, wow, now this viral thing that gets you in, but you're still Rodney. I think that would be the thing. People that would go to it, I wouldn't think you'd want to watch that character for an hour.
Well, it's kind of it's interesting because I keep having this conversation with agents and bookers and stuff because they're like, well, we're not sure if that character can hold for the whole hour. I'm like, look, I do a whole bunch of other characters. I have other jokes. I'm not just this is the thing is I've seen a lot of people who are successful from social media and then they make the leap to doing live comedy and they usually fall flat or they have to build the show up with actual comedians and they either host the show or they end up doing mostly question and answer and stuff. I'm coming from the other perspective, is that I'm not a social media who's trying to be a comedian. I'm a comedian who happened to hit it good on social media. So when I do the live show, just trust me, bring the people in. I'm going to entertain them for an hour, regardless of what I'm doing.
It's no, it's like it reminds me. I know you more, so I don't think I know you as a comic. I don't know you as the character, So to me, it's weird. But when people see it, it's like Vic DiMatteo, where Vic was doing it forever and was a legit comic, traveling the country doing whatever, but unknown and very funny. And then he went on YouTube and did Bread and Milk and became this viral sensation that now everybody wanted the book. And he mentions it. But now he's just being Vic, which he gets to do now too. But he had to convince people they're like, oh, can you do an hour? It's like, I've been doing it. I could do 7 hours. I've been doing comedy 30 goddamn. Are you kidding me? I could. What hour do you want? It's like, yeah, but it's like, oh, can you do an hour of Bread and Milk? It's like, well, no. But I think that people that are seeing that want to see more. And he was smart doing that. Now he's still selling everything out, especially here in New England. If his name is mentioned, the place is sold out. Like, it's incredible what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's awesome, and good for him, because he was one of those guys that was really funny. Every comic knew who he was, but until he did that video, it's such a weird mentality of what, like I said before, it used to be you went on Carson, he said you were funny, you had a career.
Right.
Now you have to make a video that a bunch of 14-year-olds like, and then you can have a career.
Yeah.
Then it's so weird.
When I took over booking at Jokers, Tony Camacho used to book it, and he had older guys, and I kind of got rid of a lot of the older ones because I wanted to bring in younger, newer people and change who was coming. But he was one of the guys that I liked when he performed there. But he was the guy who would hit me up and go, I know headliners only do it once a year, but, I got a couple open dates. Is there any way you can get me in a second time? And, there'd be times where I'd be like, sorry, Vic, there's, because you really don't draw. We only get 20 people. And, flash forward 2 years later, it's like I got him once. I got him 2 different times, but it cost me 5 times as much as it did before. And we sold out in a second. But still, at the point where we were too small at the end, he kind of just did me a favor, because he's like, I can't do this again because I have to do bigger places. And it was great. It was just that one change. I mean, the same people are like, I can't believe Vic's going to be at Jokers. I'm like, he's been here 10 times. We just never knew. He was here all the time.
How'd you get him to come here? I just rebooked him?
Well, first of all, he was already on the schedule thank God. One of the times it happened, it's like he was already booked, and they were like, well, he's kind of taken off. I'm like, screw you. I'm not rebooking it. We're going to take advantage one time. Then, yes, I'll pay you a lot. I'll pay you a lot the next time. But you're going to do me a solid, since I'm basically, when I gave him $200 a show for 3 shows one time for $600, and I was losing money, you're going to make me some back right now. Milk and bread.
Let me have a little taste here, my friend.
All right, Rodney, thank you so much. People that are watching, just, like the kids do, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and point that and do whatever. I don't know what that means. But, point the thing, subscribe to the things. Thank you for listening to all our stuff. Rodney, good luck in all your success. And it's nice that you still remember the little people on their birthday when you give them a character, you asshole. All right. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Love you, brother.